Hey guys, it's Jack from Jack's Literary Corner. I am Jackie. And as you know, a while back I did two videos where I talked about some of my favorite Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes. Now, I just remember, there's something I figured I should let you guys know. I didn't mention this in the previous videos, but I should let you know that if you do watch the show, or if you did watch the show, you grew up watching it, I know that the episodes that I mentioned are probably, in the long run, aren't probably the most quality of shows, especially to today's standards. But first of all, it's nostalgic for me. And second of all, some of them, despite the bad acting and bad special effects, and that not all these episodes are scary, especially again to today's standards. Some of them, it was more like, I just liked the concept of the plot of the episode. They were silly and badly acted, and there were a lot of aspects of it that just weren't good. Like, one of the episodes I'm going to talk about today had a lot of bad aspects about it. I mean, maybe I'm wrong and you don't feel this way. Maybe you are like me and you feel very nostalgia. But like I said, the potential of the story and the plot itself were really interesting. And I think if you changed a few things, or if you made it more adult and updated it and added more to the story, the thing is, this show was made in the 90s, so the quality of filmmaking wasn't as good as compared to today. It was a kids show, and they only had 30 minutes. So they had to be they couldn't go as far as people would probably like it to go. Like, they had their limits. So I feel like it's not fair to criticize it. Although, one article I read was really funny, where the snarky little commentary they provided, where they went from the worst episode to the best. Although I didn't finish the article because it was getting late at the time. And I tried to go to bed at a decent hour, which for me was like midnight at 12. But anyway, okay, so be warned, the two episodes I'm talking about, particular one, the first one I'm going to mention is just, you probably are thinking, you think that was a good episode? Why? Okay, and that episode I'm talking about is the Sorcerer's Apprentice. And no, it's nothing like the Mickey Mouse story on Fantasia that was done, or, that really cool movie. Although, I think it's cool, but I don't know if everyone else thought the Sorcerer's Apprentice starring Jay Baruchel and Nicolas Cage was that great. Now, I'm personally not a fan of that aspect of it. Them casting Nicolas Cage, I'm like, I don't get his appeal or anything, but anyway. But this one involves, a young boy, he's a high school student, Dean Burkham. He's just this average kid. He doesn't do very well in school. He does decent enough. And then he has his best friend, Alex, who is really easygoing. She's I don't know if she's one of the popular kids, but she does pretty well in school. The narrator, Mary Beth describes her as the opposite of Dean in every, so I'm assuming that she's popular, likable, and all that kind of stuff, and does well in school, blah, blah, blah. So they've been best friends for a long time, and an archaeologist comes to their school and talks to them during, I'm guessing, social studies, about her job and everything, and talks about all the interesting artifacts she's found and the history and all that. And she tells them about this famous sorcerer, and yes, here it is, Goth. His name is Goth. Goth is a Jafar wannabe, because he has a staff with a snake on it that looks exactly like Jafar's snake. Looks exactly like his staff. It's like, what the hell? The only difference is how he hypnotizes people. Well, no, actually, no, that's the same too. Because, like Jafar, the staff will hypnotize you. So, Alex thinks, this is just stupid and silly and everything, that she's just trying to make her job really cool, But Dean is actually kind of interested in the artifact, so he goes back in there, goes talk to Dr. Oliver, that's the woman's name, and he sees her, and he decides to check out the staff, because she, to check out the staff that once belonged to Goth. And the staff has a hypnosis effect on Dean, like Far's staff does with the Sultan. So he all of a sudden is acting really weird and very different. And he's like gathering all these group of people. And guess how they dress? The people of Goth are the Goth kids. They dress all in black. Like the stereotypical Goth kid. And they start following him. And Dean is also kind of more of a douchebag than usual. Like, he's getting ready to take a test in his chemistry. But then he doesn't even take the test. He doesn't actually do anything. He just turns it in and does this weird thing to his teacher, a hypnosis kind of thing. And the teacher treated him horribly, so you can't blame him. And Alex, of course, because Dean's her best friend and everything, she's naturally, like, freaking out and worried about him and doesn't get what's going on. And he's all, like, he's enjoying this new power, and he's like, I'm not getting dunked on anymore, or you didn't think I could do it, did you? And, he gets a bit of an attitude with Alex, which really, I want to smack that boy. But, anyway, so, Alex keeps an eye on him and sees that he is getting things like mercuric acid, and which, like, hello, mercuric, what, acid, what? It's mercuric acid, Kiki. It's not that hard to understand. The problem, I think the show tries to think we're dumb. So, like, they have the characters, like, ask stupid questions. Like, what kind of acid? I mean, I'm not saying that I know what mercuric acid is, but, I mean, don't ask the stupid question, but, like, at the same time, the question just comes off as really stupid. But anyway, okay, so, she sees him, which, by the way, so she's keeping an eye on him, she's spying on him, and she sees he's using mercuric acid, and Bella Donnelly's, aka he's making weed, sees him and his new followers, all his little gang of Goth kids, putting this stuff in a pool, and they're trying to raise Goth back. They're trying to bring him back from the dead, and Alex is freaking out, and she gets caught, and she tries to reason with Dean to come back, and which, every time I see that kind of scene, I mean, granted, I guess, if you're in that kind of situation, you're trying to see if you can reach the person inside, the good person that you used to be, and you're like, come back. It's the last-ditch effort to get the person you know and love back. And I'm like thinking, no, honey, it's too late. I think he's pretty much evil Dean. Not Demon Dean, just evil Dean. And so she's like, come at, and he's like, it's too late, girl. I'm too far gone, too powerful, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, the way he runs is so ridiculous. It's like, I can't even, he has his arms, like, stiff at his sides, and he runs like a girl. I mean, I really shouldn't say that, because as a girl, that's, but I don't know, it's so ridiculous how he runs, and it makes me laugh every time I see the scene when he's talking, he runs off and takes, leaves Alex, and, after telling her, it's too late, I'm gone, too far gone now, and it's so ridiculous. So, like, she continues to spy on him, but then she gets caught. He's like, I tried to give you a chance to let you go. Well, now it's too late. You're my prisoner now. And it's so funny. I love that moment because, his echoes are like, we caught her, spying on us. And dang, it's so much funnier when I get the lines exactly right. Or something like, she was spying on us. And Alex's response is, and she's pissed. It's so much funnier on the episode, actually, if you watch it. But she's so snarky in this, it's so funny. And he takes her, which, by the way, someone in the article I mentioned earlier that I read, it was so funny because the writer draws attention to the fact that Dean, as his normal self, calls her, how he pronounces her name, Alex, like you're supposed to. But Evil Dean is like, Alex. Alex. He's constantly saying it like that. Alex. Like, A-L-U-X. That's how, in the article at least, that's how he says she pronounced it. It's really funny, actually. So then he creates the weed, apparently. He puts the belladonna leaves and the mercuric acid in the pool, and Goth, with the biggest shoulders ever, rises up, and he's like, I have risen and blah blah, I'm finally free and everything, is all in triumph on the ice. He looks like a bobblehead. He has the biggest shoulders ever, and he looks like a bobblehead. It's ridiculous, and like Alex gets all the breaks the thing that holds the other students under the power of the staff, the Jafar staff, and they pass out, and unfortunately she can't save Dean, but then I can't remember how he gets out from under the spell, because he's all like, get high, and he's like, I did it! I resurrected Goth and everything, and I swear, it's like he's high. And I don't know how he comes out of it, but he does, and then he figures out that the way to stop Goth is to put chlorine in the pool. Of all things, because I guess he admits that because the belladonna leaves are bacteria, or the mercuric acid is bacteria, so it's like, chlorine, that will do it, that will save us, and it does, it actually works. So then they defeat the bad guy, but the twist at the end is you realize that Dr. Oliver she shows up and she's like, I guess we failed. Well, don't worry, I put stones in every high school in the country, so maybe we'll have another chance. And to think, when I was a girl, they thought I was mad. Cue the evil laugh. And that ending was so awesome. I love that ending. Okay, so like I said, that episode is not ideal. Like, the acting is especially in Dean Burkham. In fact, the one other episode, because a lot of times they recycle actors in this show, especially the adult ones, seriously, the one other episode he was in, the guy who played Dean, which was after this one, I believe, was the prom queen, and all he did was he was the ghost of the prom queen's date. The ghost of her boyfriend. He didn't even talk. He had no lines. All he did was come driving up, and then he gave the two living guys the thumbs up. So I probably shouldn't have said that, because then I do want to talk about that episode. But anyway, it's funny that the one other episode he was in, he didn't even do much except for drive in the car, and give the guys a thumbs up. Okay, so this one, it was more the plot that I liked. The potential of the plot. It was actually an interesting plot. And I had this idea that if it continued, if it wasn't just some 30-minute episode, what if, they did turn Alex, but that she became a lot worse than Dean? Like, she became the true villain. I think that would be really cool. Of course, it's no surprise I think that's cool, because, I'm a girl, so I'm thinking, the girl's gotta be badass and awesome and everything, and I think it would be so funny if it turned out that Alex turned into the bad guy. I think that would be really cool. But oh well. It was only 30 minutes anyway, so they couldn't really do that. So, like I said, it was just more the concept of the plot. Like, if I was writing it, I would change the sorcerer's name. Like I said, I think it would be really cool if Alex turned into a bad guy. And you know, and if I was writing the show, of course, they would, they probably didn't have a lot of actors auditioning for this, so, but I would have cast, like, the guy who played Dean, he was not the best actor. But, I mean, so, again, it was just the plot itself was kind of interesting. The concept of the plot was kind of cool. So, the next episode I want to talk about isn't, crap, I can't remember. What was it? What was the one I wanted to talk about along with this one? Okay, well, not those two. Oh, I guess I want to talk about the Magician's Assistant. Okay, so this is, this one is a little bit better than the Sorcerer's Apprentice. It's better. Okay, so this one centers around this young boy and his mom, his single mom, who is a cartoonist. They have I think they just moved to this town or whatever, and Todd, her son, has decided to get a job to help his mom out because his mom's a single parent, doesn't make a lot of money. So he decides to go help her out. So he sees an ad in the paper for a job to a magician's assistant, to be a magician's assistant. And of course our lovely magician has that typical attitude, which I love. It's one of my favorite tropes. The cranky old man who, has a soft spot for a kid or whatever, and I don't know. I always loved the cranky mentor type character. So Todd gets this job as a magician's assistant to Shandu, and he has a rough time at it because Shandu, like the typical cranky old man, old mentor type, he's very critical of Todd and everything, and Todd can't seem to meet his standards, but he still gets the job and everything. And you find, of course, that Shandu used to be a very powerful magician, but then now all he does is kids' birthday parties. So that's why he's cranky. He used to be to toast the town. And so one day, he introduces Todd. He shows Todd his magic wand, which I think is a really cool concept of a wand because it looks like a tree. It doesn't look like the kind of wand you would expect, like that weird stick, like the stick wand, kind of like that magician, like even Harry Potter kind of used that one single stick thing, wand type. So, but this one actually looks like a tree branch, not just a single branch, but kind of like those trees in the jungle. That's what it looks like. So, he tells him about that wand. Everything is like, don't use the wand, and unless he hands it to him. Like, that's one of the magical rules. The other magical rules are don't get caught in your own reflections. That's in your own reflection, which I think is considered the cardinal rule. Always leave them wanting more is the final rule. What are the other? Like I said, don't touch a magician's wand unless he hands it to you. Only let them see what you want them to see. I think that's it. There might be another one. I don't know. So Todd, wanting to help, decides to use the wand once to clean up Shandu's his little house where he lives, his little traveling cart house kind of thing. And then he uses it again. He even though he's not supposed to, he steals the wand and uses it again to help his mom out with her job because she has not finished one of her assignments. And then this mysterious, beautiful woman appears. Nazareth, she calls herself, and says, I just need you to use, this wand is meant for you to use only, and you need to use it one more time. So he goes to Shandu, and Shandu, he realizes that Todd stole the wand and is upset, which makes sense, of course. And Todd tells him about his encounter with Nazrak. And then apparently Shandu reveals to Todd that actually no, Nazrak is not a beautiful woman and not a spirit of the wild as she had told him, but a demon who can take on any form. Like she's like Nazrak is like a shapeshifter or something. And he kind of like kicks Todd out of his little home or whatever. So Todd goes running back, Todd feeling bad and figuring, decides to go back and sees that there's smoke in Shandu's living quarters. So he uses the wand one more time, as Nazrak said, and he sees Shandu sitting there all casual and stuff, and he's like, I just needed you to use the wand one more time. And then suddenly he transforms into Nazrak's true form, which is really ugly. And so Todd runs away, after finding out where Shandu is, and then he's like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. So he goes running back to his house, finds his mom, and tries to explain to her what's going on, but she's not listening, and she's just, she's all focused on the fact that her tree is gone and everything. So he goes following her. I don't remember why he ends up going in the back room where his mom works, but he goes to the back room. Oh wait, no, he goes in there because he wants to show her what he did to her little comic strip. And he goes back there and he finds a little note from his mom who says, I don't know how you did this. I'm so impressed and everything. Thank you so much. We'll talk about this when I get home tonight. So he realized that he's been tricked again by Nazrak. And that Nazrak is actually, that his mom is really Nazrak, who has taken the form of his mom. And so then there's this big battle between him and Nazrak, and he's like, and he tries to get the wand from Todd, but of course he can't get the wand unless Todd hands it to him. And he threatens Todd's mom, who's getting ready to come, who's arriving at the house, at the back of their apartment. And Todd is like, alright, fine, I'll give you the wand if you leave my mother alone. So he gives Nazrak the wand, who of course is like, okay, I'll leave your mom alone, but I won't leave you alone, and you can go into the vortex with the old man, with Shandu. And while he's trying to hide from Nazrak, Shandu speaks to him through all these different through the reflection of something, and he's like, remember, use the three rules of magic. And he does, and he tricks Nazrak to, he makes it look like he's standing there, but he's standing in front of a mirror, and he gets out of the way, and Nazrak hits the mirror, and setting Shandu free, and trapping Nazrak once again in the vortex. So of course it ends happy, and then you find out, and then Shandu is grateful to Todd and tells him, I'm sorry, I should have warned you, and he's like, and actually, I've been trying to find someone to train to take my place because I've been trusted with this wand for far too long, and I'm too old. Well, he doesn't say that, but he says I've been entrusted with this wand for far too long. And he disappears, and that's when you hear the final rule, which is, always leave them with wanting more. And that's the end. I loved it. Like I said, this episode is a lot better than The Sorcerer's Apprentice. It's not as creepy. It's not one of the creepier ones. It's more of the fantastical ones. And I just think it's a really cool, again, this is another one where I like the concept. And the acting is pretty good too. Like, I like the actor who plays Shandu. He's been, I don't know, that might be the only episode he was in. I don't remember if he was in another episode. But he is in, well, I guess he was in the Silver Sight episode. The 3-parter episode. With the new Midnight Society and Gary from the original. It's kind of which, I'm going to talk about that episode. That 3-part thing later. But, yeah, he was in that 3-part episode as the character of the General. Which, like I said, I'm going to talk about that episode later. But it's such a, like I said, the whole concept of him being a magician, and then the magician actually being a real magic user, and there's the whole demon of Nazareth. I think that's a cool, and like I said, I thought the wand was kind of cool. The fact that it didn't look like a traditional wand. It didn't look like what you would expect a wand to look like, which I think was cool. And how, like, he's been entrusted to protect this powerful wand, and now he's passing it on to Todd, which I think is really cool. And I do believe that the actor who played Todd, I think I heard that he was the brother of a kid that did another episode later in the series. Another one of my favorite episodes, Jake and the Leprechaun, which that one I know is a little silly, and apparently some people don't get that episode, even though I personally think it's not that hard to get, not that confusing. But yeah, and again, this is another one that I just like the concept. The acting is definitely a little bit better than Sorcerer's Apprentice. I feel like it's such a cool episode, and a lot of really cool concepts. And it's hard for me to say, and the special effects are okay in this one, they're not bad. Again, this was the 90s, so I think it's hard to judge something as far as that kind of aspects of it. Because it was made in the 90s, and it was meant for kids, and they only had 30 minutes per episode, maybe even less, maybe 20 minutes, I don't know. So they really couldn't, they were kind of limited. But like I said, the concept is really cool, and for the final time, it is better than Sorcerer's Apprentice. Okay, so those are 2 more of my favorite episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark. If you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and click subscribe if you haven't already. Much love to my already subscribed people, and I hope you all are enjoying your reading. Alright, bye!